Part of the process of going through a divorce means understanding the different options that are available when it comes to determining your parenting plan. And one of the roles of the mediator is to educate the parties about the overall trends that the courts follow and the different statutes and concepts that are used for judges when judges make decisions about custody. So the purpose of this video segment is to just briefly explain to you what some of the statistics are and what the court, very typically and generally speaking, how the courts make decisions and what their standards are with regards to deciding custody issues. Our goal is to keep you as far away from the courts and judges as we possibly can and allow you to customize your own agreement, but for the purpose of making sure that you can make informed decisions, it's important to understand what that world looks like. The court system looks at a situation with children, and a judge makes decisions based on really two criteria. What is in the best interest of the child or the children? And the second criteria, and maybe not all judges will admit it, but it is, what can I rule that will make it most likely that I will not have to see these people ever again? And that's because when judges become judges, the one part of their role as a judge that most dislike is the part where they have to do divorces. It's very difficult. Judges, generally speaking, don't like divorce cases. So a lot of their decisions that they make are decisions that lessen the likelihood of them having to be involved in that case any longer or later than they have to. With regarding to the what's in the best interest of the children, the courts are looking at certain things. The thing that influences them the most is historical data. And our culture, one here in the United States, is one where there are some cultural differences between men and women. And our culture has, generally speaking, placed men as being the breadwinners in a marital relationship. They provide a role in the parenting where they provide the financial support, and certainly that's not the only thing that a dad does, but generally speaking, the courts view that as being the role because our culture has done a good job of that. And the courts see mothers as being the nurturing parent, and that moms, generally speaking, have a more of a day-to-day influence and role of parenting the children than dads. Now, I want to be careful as I explain that in no way represents my feelings, and there is a shifting trend where the courts now more than ever are recognizing the nurturing potential that fathers have and the breadwinning potential that mothers have, and so we're seeing an increasing balance. But statistically speaking, when judges rule on litigated cases, nationally, it's around 91% of the time they rule where one party is going to be the primary custodial parent and primary decision maker. That is the legal term for that is sole custody. The reason for that is, put yourself in the judge's shoes. They're observing two individuals in a courtroom that are behaving badly, and they're putting their two attorneys' kids through college instead of their own. And they've spent a lot of money, and they've done things and said things and behaved in ways that certainly do not represent a situation where there are two individuals that can communicate and collaborate and unite and be unified in the best interest of the child. So the judge will make a decision and say, rather than expose the child to parents that clearly lack in an ability to communicate, I'm going to lessen that likelihood of exposing that child and give one of the parents the exclusive decision-making authority. It just so happens statistically that is 91% of the time in litigated cases given to mothers. Now, there's always an attorney that will look at this segment and argue with me. Keep in mind, I am saying litigated cases, cases that judges make decisions. That doesn't mean that couples who settle outside of court with their attorneys don't agree to different things. They absolutely do. But when a judge is forced to make a decision, they 91 to 92% of the time will gravitate towards giving sole custody to moms. That's an important statistic. If you're a dad, it's a very important statistic. Your chances of litigating a case and having any chance of getting a shared custody arrangement in a litigated situation are about 8%. And so the mother of your children needs to have some there needs to be some compelling reasons why. And I have found that can be very frustrating, and for most dads that come in, that statistic is right at the front of their brain. It should be noted that in only in fact it's a reverse, about 10% of mediated cases does one parent get sole custody. So it's a complete flip-flop. In a mediated case, most of the time, parents are able to come to a collaborative agreement where even when there has been a lot of high drama and high negative emotion, a good mediator is able to help them put that emotion on a shelf, look past it long enough to craft an agreement where they don't have that sole custody environment that they're discussing as often. It should also be noted that judges are less inclined to have couples or to rule on allowing couples to have joint custody, because if they do that and the couple hasn't been able to demonstrate an ability to collaborate, it means that couple is going to be back in court over and over and over throughout the years. And judges have learned that if I just eliminate that possibility by granting one of the parties sole custody, not only is it the best interest of the children, but their job becomes a lot easier. So understand those statistics, understand the court standards and why the courts do that. If the parties will recognize that they have more control over the process than they think, that they can come up with their own agreement and a label and a type of custody that's customized for their own situation. If they will be open to that possibility, those types of agreements stand the test of time, and we don't ever have to worry about a judge imposing their standard.